morning, everyone. I'm starting about a minute early just because I wanted to make sure my camera was set up and that everything was broadcasting okay. So today we're going to be brewing with a V60 brewer. If you're familiar with it, you know that it's very similar in some senses to the Chemex pour-over brewing method, in that it is a cone and a cone-shaped filter. So we'll take a quick look at it really quick here. So this is the V60. Okay. You can see it fits right down on top of a Hario vessel there for us to brew into. And it uses these filters. So one of the things I'll do really quick is, before I start, I'll just do a quick little fold like that. Will help keep it open while it's inside there. So I have a recipe I'm going to use. I'll talk about it as I'm brewing, and then I'll also publish it down below, along with links to some of these items. If you don't have them at home, you can get them at home. So I'm going to be brewing the Burundi again today. I love this coffee. It's Burundi fully washed coffee. It's the Gahahe. Up until just recently, we also had a natural version of the same coffee, and as always, it's fun to try those next to each other to really see how processing changes coffee that's the same coffee but just processed differently in country. In this case, though, we're using the washed version of it. I've measured out 30 grams of coffee to use here. Okay, so we of course recommend weighing coffee. We have scales. You should maybe have a scale too. We can talk more about that in another educational session that's coming down the line here on our Facebook pages. So as always, I do put you through this. I grind the coffee right now, and I want you to listen to it so that it helps you understand the importance of grinding our coffee fresh, right? And I know if you've seen me in one of the stores, you've probably seen me, and we've talked about grinders. I've said, let's get you a grinder. So this is a medium fine grind that I've applied here. So like other pour-over methods, this one is reliant on the coffee being in contact for a relatively short period of time. That's why we have the fine grind. There's more surface area, so the coffee will extract a little bit faster. As with other pour-over methods that use a paper filter, we're using a bleached white paper filter. We just think that those offer a little less possibility of the transmission of the paper flavor in the brew. We pre-wet the filter just to remove any of those qualities. It also has a secondary benefit of helping to adhere the filter along the interior. By wetting it, it saturates the filter for easier transmission of your liquor as you brew. And then, of course, it also pre-warms both this the actual V60 as well as the vessel that the coffee is going to go down into. I have a scale here. I'm going to tare it again. Get our coffee in here. I just want to flatten the bed a little bit. Okay. And even, and I forgot to do this, just a little bit of a divot in the center. Okay. So right now I have 30 grams of coffee. I'm going to start by doing something we do with all these pour-over methods, which is adding equal amount of water to grounds. So since I have 30 grams of coffee, I'm going to add 60 grams of water. I'm shooting for, at the end, having 500 grams of water go through this coffee, right? To get the right ratio of coffee to water. But I'm going to start by blooming the coffee. And as you probably know, the blooming process is going to wet the grounds. It's going to prepare them for extraction. And it's going to release some of the aromatics and gases out of them as well. So we start, I'm going to go in a circular motion to try and wet as much of this coffee as possible. Now, I think it's also acceptable at this point, if you want to increase the saturation, you maybe do a little agitation, physical agitation as well of that bed. Now I've waited just a few seconds. I'm going to start. What I'm going to do is I'm going to wet the entire coffee up to about 150, the entire bed in circular motions, right? And then as it begins to extract, I'm going to start pouring in the center, but just about as fast as it's dripping, right? I'm going to alternate that with moving circular as well. I'll wait a second. Pour into the center again. Okay. So what I'm trying to do is keep this slurry off the sides of the V60 and slow the process of the extraction by pouring just as fast as it's actually dripping. If I continue to give that slight agitation with the circular motion, that stirs the coffee around a bit, and then into the center, alternating. Hopefully that will help get all the grounds into contact with water. I'm getting pretty close to my target here. If you're wondering why I'm looking over at I have an app on my phone that has my scale on it. I'm going to finish the pour. Now, like with the Chemex, remember we performed a little bit of a swirl. It's to pull the coffee off the sides. I'm going to wait as this water moves down through the V60. I'm going to wait a little bit and then literally let's do a little swirl like that. So that's going to do a couple things. Again, it's going to pull coffee off the sides. It's also going to help move the coffee into kind of a flat bed, right? So we don't have the coffee all up along the sides. It's been agitated while we've been pouring the water, and now that little swirl there at the end, it's going to put the coffee into a flat bed. So again, the goal here is to, just like with espresso, minimize channeling. And by that means we want to make sure all the grounds have been touched by water and are part of that extraction process. So there's no part of this bed of coffee that is dry or less saturated than other beds. That helps us get an even extraction of coffee. I'm going to drip that for just another second. So I'm going to leave the screen for a second. One of the great things about paper filtration, and the reason we have several methods for doing that in our cafes and online, is that it allows us to capture some of the non-water solubles, some of those things which clearly have flavor, but might on the palate create a sense of flattening a little bit some of the higher or brighter notes. So often with paper filtration, whether it's Chemex or this V60 here, or the Melita, which we'll be doing later in the week, what we're doing is highlighting hopefully more of the brightness of the coffee, right? And making it a little more lively on the palate. Now, by all means, yesterday I did the French press. That's a metal filter. This is not to in any way take away from that. For those who love the French press, it's easy, it's quick, it creates a big cup of coffee. And so that if that's what you're looking for, a lot of body, then French press is a great way to brew coffee. This V60 with the paper filter, first of all, creates a smaller amount of coffee, as you can see. So if you're just doing 1 cup at a time, maybe, or just you and one other person having smaller cups, it's a little more efficient and economical that way. But it also allows us to highlight when we're looking at some of these coffees like this Burundi, which already by its nature has a nice body to it. If we can highlight more of the brightness of the coffee by using paper filtration, then we're going to let the body of the coffee speak for itself. It's not going to be helped along with that sensation of those oils and those fats as much, and that's, I think, creates a nicer, more balanced cup when we're done with it. So that's the V60. We are. I'm going to pour this out, and Becca and I are going to be in the virtual cafe in just a few minutes. You'll come back here to this page, join us. We're going to be talking about some different coffee issues. In this case, I think we're going to touch a little bit on kind of the Scandinavian coffee rituals. Okay. Join us then. Oh, and look, today at 2 o'clock, Ben is going to be back here and on the Dancing Goats page as well, doing a discussion of different roast profiles. Today we're using single origin. You know, we also have blends. Some of those blends have darker profiles, and then there are coffees that we have which are roasted darker because of the nature of the coffee we're attempting to create, and the French roast being a perfect example. So there are different aspects that we like about everything along the roast profile that we do, and there are also different things we have to consider when we're dealing with coffees that have different roast profiles. And so since we offer a wide range of roast profiles from darker to lighter, we thought it would be nice if you join us at 2 o'clock to have a little discussion about what that means when you're brewing at home. Thanks for joining me this morning. Post any questions down below here. I'll be happy to answer those, and I'll also post this recipe that I just used. Take care.